All right, we'll go ahead and get started then. Since it's 5:31, we do not have to do Pledge Allegiance and prayer this evening. It is not on the agenda. So we'll go into roll call. We'll have Alderman James. Present. Alderman Parker. Present. Alderman Henderleiter.
Here.
Alderman Steelman.
Here.
I am present. City Administrator Walden.
Present.
City Clerk Capel.
Here.
City Attorney Weber.
Present.
Public Works Director Nash.
Present.
Chief of Police Chase.
Present.
Economic Development Director Burbridge.
Present.
And Donnie is here as well. Wonderful. First item on the agenda is bids. Ray, would you like to introduce the bids, please?
I can start us off. You have a copy in your packet of an advertisement that was ran on our behalf by Stack Design Group for bids regarding items that improve the security at the administration building. And then you have a tabulation of those bids. For the glazing and associated work, there was one response from Total Security Solutions in Fowlerville, Michigan for $16,041. And then for other improvements that were listed in the bid specs, there were two bidders, Proc Operations, doing business as For Your Convenience out of Rolla, Missouri, for listed amounts totaling $29,978 with an optional material payment bond if required for another $1250. And then by Village Gallery out of Salem for $33,582. And so the design firm working with us determined the bids met our specifications, and it'd be the recommendation that we go with the bidder for the Total Security Solutions for the glazing and associated work, and then go with Proc Operations or doing business as For Your Convenience out of Rolla for the $29,978. Even if you added the $1250, the Village Gallery bid wouldn't have been within the 5%, allowance we have for a local bid to exceed, the next bid.
Do we have a motion on bids?
Did we budget 40 for this? Is that what the budget is? I don't know.
We had some funds budgeted in the current year, but this is included in the budget that's being considered tonight.
I'll make a motion. We approve the bid from Total Security Solutions and Proc Operations.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call. Sorry, go ahead.
This drawing that's here, is this
That's
inclusive of the work?
That's the current, the design plan, and that these materials estimates are based on that plan. Incidentals unrelated to that, we could still, we'd have some flexibility, but the specs assume those dimensions for the glaze work and the cabinetry.
And the way the contract is currently written for the work to move forward, is it, so especially with someone from Michigan, are we in a position that we will get what we expect?
Yes, and that's materials only. We would either do the installation or contract out the installation ourselves. They're a prominent provider of these kinds of materials, and Corky, the designer, has used them on other projects. He was comfortable recommending them.
Any other questions?
Do you have any concerns with the work moving forward, Ray?
No, want to go ahead and bring it to you. There is a lead time, for the materials and So, we wanted to, get it ordered as soon as, there's an option you're agreeable to. And then we would start working on, planning the actual, construction, part of the work. There would be some work that we would do ourselves ahead of, these materials, being installed. And so would want to take advantage of that lead time on materials to coordinate, some things that would need to be done, in-house first.
In the both of the two consultants or the individuals who bid on this are in agreement that we do pre-work for them.
Correct.
And we'll inspect it before they prepare their work.
They would have that
I just wanna
option
make
if they wanted to.
Sure. Make sure we do what we ask.
Sure.
Or asked to do.
We're working under the plans, developed, by the stack group. And so even work that we do would have to meet those, we would do it to meet those specs.
This equipment had 6 weeks lead time, is that right?
Estimated 6 weeks, right?
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote, sorry. Alderman Steelman?
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter?
Yes.
Alderman James?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Yes.
Next item up on the agenda is introduction, reading of bills and resolutions. Ms. Apple, could you introduce bill number 3452, please?
Bill number 3452, an ordinance adopting an annual budget for the city of Salem, Missouri beginning July 1st, 2020 and appropriating funds pursuant thereto. Whereas the city administrator has presented to the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri as follows. Section 1. The annual budget of the city of Salem, Missouri for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, a copy of which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, as is fully set forth herein, having been heretofore submitted by the city administrator, is hereby adopted with anticipated revenues of $12,860,186, anticipated expenditures of $12,791,822, and intergovernmental transfers of $2,197,462. Section 2, funds are hereby appropriated for the objects and purposes of expenditure set forth in said budget. Section 3, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage by the Board of Aldermen. Second reading by caption only, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Bill number 3452, an ordinance adopting an annual budget for the
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman James? Alderman Parker? Alderman Hinderleiter? Alderman Steelman? Next item on the agenda is under new and miscellaneous business. We have trailer court licenses.
I'm presenting 2 trailer court licenses to you to approve this evening. One I've not had application made on yet. They are the Finest Place at 307 East Truman and Central Missouri Investment at 703 South Pershing. Jared has inspected and has approved them and has given them some items to work on for the year. But he said as far as they're in good shape.
Some of the minor items.
And the Finest Place hasn't submitted an application yet?
The Finest Place and Central Missouri Investments, it's the one on Park Street that has not.
That's
Okay.
the one that
He's still working on that, yeah.
That's the one that's usually late.
Yes.
And the expiration on our requirements, do we have?
It's
date?
today, it expires today.
I'm sorry, the ones that Jared has said that they need to complete in the next year, do we have a date that they have to have completed by?
No, he didn't give me that today. When I double checked with him, he didn't tell me.
Would it just be before they renew next year maybe or something?
Maybe I was thinking about phrasing it in the motion.
There's some minor things, I think he said like maybe some boards on a porch or a rail or something minor, you know, and then I don't know if there's anything bigger than that. He didn't give me the list, but he's some things that they need to work on for the year.
So nothing that they're necessarily out of compliance on right now, it's just
No, he said these
good
were
idea
good to go.
get those things done, okay.
Okay, we have a motion on trailer court licenses.
I make a motion we approve the trailer court licenses that have been submitted.
The motion, we have a second. A second, any further discussion?
Has any contact been made with the one on Salem Street?
He is working with the gentleman who does work for the owner on getting it cleaned up. Rather, is that the one that
I think came,
No,
okay, because I had that from the other day and
oh no, that the one that we're talking about, the one, that guy.
and he's not developed yet.
No,
It's,
yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Steelman?
Yes.
Alderman James?
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is Salem Public Library appointment. We got a letter from the library saying that Sarah Swindell has resigned her position from the board, and they have asked us to appoint Liz Condrey to fill that position, and she is agreeable to fill that position if appointed. So do we have a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Liz Condrey to the Salem Public Library Board.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Alderman Hinderleiter?
Yes.
Alderman Steelman?
Yes.
Alderman James?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is airport hangar rental fees. Ray, were you going to introduce that one?
I can, and Alderwoman Hinderleiter may add to it. We've had one board meeting with the airport board on discussing rates, and we didn't come to a conclusion on proposed rates that would be presented to you all. So it's my recommendation, and if Alderwoman Hinderleiter chairs the airport board's agreeable, that we just continue the current rates for the period July 1 to June 30 of next year, and during the course of this year have our needed meetings determine rate adjustments and bring that to you all in time to consider before the next lease terms.
Okay.
So what was the barriers to getting a rate change agreed on?
A couple things. I mean, lots of different perspectives on what rates should be, and we haven't determined as a group the rate for what would be a new hangar, the Domeyer hangar.
Are all of the board members on the airport board renters?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's
And
probably
that's-
an issue, in my opinion.
It's
That's
conflict of
very
interest.
conflict, yeah, that's, to me, seems like a huge, obviously, they're not gonna want to raise their rates no matter how much it makes sense, because it's against their own interest.
Well, and you all have the authority to set
Sure.
rates.
I know that's not your
aside
thing, I'm
from
just
the
verbalizing
recommendation,
that, thought.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think that
I did have that thought after the last meeting that it wouldn't hurt to maybe get some new board
yeah,
members on that aren't pilots or people who are renting at the
Sure.
airport, but
maybe having
Just-
one person that can kind of speak for that part of it, but I think the entire board being made up of people who, yeah, that's
It makes
just,
it
if we're never
difficult.
gonna reach a real agreement, I don't feel like, and if we do, it's gonna be us compromising probably against our own best interests to appease, so, that's my.
Well,
I understand.
I think with like the Domeyer hangar too, that there's a potential that person that interested in that hangar is also gonna run a business out of it,
That's what they had expressed.
which at that point,
Interesting.
that's a very different agreement.
Most airports would treat that, differently than just a hangar for one's own personal use. But
it does sound like it will be a benefit to have out there from what I understood,
Right.
but I know it does kind of change things that way too.
Especially with our liabilities.
Do they have terms? Is that a term thing, or is that?
I believe so. Isn't that board termed?
I think is it 2 years?
I don't remember what it is, but
I think they're all up, but I think they're supposed to have staggered, but at some point they all got it on at the same time, cause they hadn't met for so long and terms expired and.
How are people appointed?
We vote
Yeah.
on it.
The mayor
I have to bring recommendations to you all for appointment,
That's one
which I still have to do that on my others, so I'll see what we've got available. We'll work on that.
I think like having some local business owners or something on there.
Right, people who benefit from having the airport there too, like, you know, which.
Wood products, like somewhere that
Mhm.
have, you know, they have people using it, I think would be
Alright,
beneficial.
someone using it regularly.
Yeah, we need, I don't think that board is objective right now. I don't think it's fair. I mean, like I said, they're not gonna vote against that's the issues we continue to run into, is they don't wanna talk about raising rates because they don't wanna raise their own rates, so. Anyways,
Okay, do we have a motion at this point on hangar rental fees?
I'll make a motion that we continue current hangar rental fees for July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
second.
Second, any further discussion?
And this is exempting the Domeyer hangar, or the big hangar.
If we did change the inventory of hangars, we would bring that, you know, to you all for a rate determination.
So no one would be able to take over the Delmar hangar.
Unless we have a rate, you know, and you could determine that tonight, then we can make it available, but I don't know if you wanna.
My recommendation is to go for a short time frame and get this sorted out.
Yeah, I do want the meetings and process to start way sooner than the end of next year, even
Sure.
if it's just like, hey, this is what it's gonna be at that point, but my other question is, when are terms up to reappoint for?
They're actually not
It is
now,
time,
yeah.
okay, can we do it in like, I don't know, it sounds good to everyone for a time frame,
3 months.
that's
what I
what
was-
3 to 6, I
Yeah,
don't know.
3 to 6, somewhere in there, but
Now, you're talking about reviewing the hangar rates or getting that board in place?
I would like to see what if,
I would like board in place as soon as possible.
yes, that's what I was thinking.
The biggest issue there, and like I said, I'm working on that, the biggest issue is finding people that's willing to serve on those boards. So I mean, as soon as we can get that done, then we can bring it for approval. But I can't promise when that'll be. Usually it's done by now, but with everything else going on, it's been kind of put on the back burner,
Is it something I can help with
maybe.
to get it done faster?
I will, I've got that list.
I got a phone, I'll call people.
Yeah. I've got that list. I'll look at it and I'll
Okay.
get with you. We'll-
Okay.
We can come up some.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to continue the rates through June of next year.
You need to switch it up with the conclusion, right? We don't wanna push it out that long.
personally,
Well, I don't either. Like, I wanna see a decision made a long time before that, but I didn't know.
it feels like it's been hanging on for a while for something that's fairly easy to get done.
Just do it through June, or excuse me, through December, if we thought we'd have new rates, you know, in place by January
I
1.
think we definitely can.
Yeah,
Is that-
they give you time to work with your board and
Yeah, I think that's good. Since we need to reappoint people and get it in place, I think that's good. I apologize. Part of it's been my schedule with trying to get with everyone else to have extra meetings for it, but I know. I'll take the fall.
life happens, it's okay.
Okay, so do we need to vote that one down?
If you want to change the dates, yes.
Okay.
Did you hit the fan button? No.
Is changing the dates going to play a major issue with you, Mary, on these contracts?
No, you changed it to where they would just pay it for April through June. I've got them already coming in, some of them are already coming in wanting to pay, for the next round. I told them they'd have to wait because I have no idea.
Okay.
You know, if the board approves that right now, then I would just send statements out for July 1st to December 31st.
Do we
And
need to,
look into that?
do we need to set a rate for the Domeyer hangar for the 6 months or whatever's left till the end of the year?
If you want to be available.
And
Can
we
we-
just set that one the same as the other ones that are now, and then as the board meets. I have no idea, I don't,
Or
I don't know.
let me ask you this, can we put that on the next agenda?
The
For
Monday
the
night?
That's fine, yeah, he can wait.
And
a
so
couple-
that would
yeah,
give us a
couple-
little bit of time to kind of look and,
I'm not, yeah, because I don't actually, I'm not aware of what the, yeah.
It's a
Whole
large,
situation
large,
is.
it has its own bathroom.
and my issue is I have no idea what the value of something
Yeah.
like that would be, so I would rather,
Right, so we'll get that situated on the next agenda, please, for that hangar.
okay. So the motion on the floor is to go from July 1 to June of next year, okay? We'll call for the vote. Alderman Hinderleiter,
No.
Alderman Steelman, Alderman Parker, Alderman James. How would you like to make it?
Okay, I'll try, we'll see how bad I mess it up. Okay, I would like to make a motion that we approve current hangar rates to continue from July 1, 2020 to December 31st, 2020.
So you're voting to reconsider. That's, okay,
Okay, I'm good with that. Do I need to say it?
I understand what you're,
Okay.
bringing it back to the table.
Yes.
You voted
Oh,
against,
yes.
you're reconsidering again.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Hinderleiter,
Yes.
Alderman James.
Yes.
Alderman Steelman.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Yes.
Wonderful. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion, do we have a second? And a second, any discussion? All right, thank you all very much. Rise and go forward.